Welcome to the Smart Admin portal. If you're an IT manager, an education technology specialist, or a system administrator for an organization that's made a purchase from Smart, this is where you'd go to see the details of the purchase and to manage user access to software. So let's dive in and take a look at the interface. You can see here that the organization that's made the purchase here is Woodbine School. So let's say you work for Woodbine School, you can see the product that they've purchased. So they purchased a subscription to Smart Learning Suite. If they'd made another purchase, that would also show up here in the portal. And then a couple of things. First of all, if you work for a district, so you have to manage multiple schools, multiple organizations, you could use this organization menu over here, the organization list, to look for other schools or other organizations that you're managing purchases for. Also up in this corner, you can check out, there is the user menu. So here's where you go to sign out. You can also view the privacy policy. If it's your first time in here, clicking on the help button is a great idea because that'll just open up our online support, where we've documented everything that you can do in the portal. So that's a great resource to take a look at when you're just getting started. We'll just head back to the portal here and look at this purchase in a bit more detail. So to expand it, we'll just press this plus button right here. So once it expands, you can actually see the individual product keys associated, and these are actually individual purchases. So you can see the bottom one here, if you look under the status column, is expired, so not so relevant anymore. But the other two you can see are active, and they have slightly different expiry dates. They were probably bought at different times. If this was collapsed and you were just looking at the overview, you would still see when the next renewal that's coming up, you would see that date up here. You can click on an individual product key to see a few more details about the purchase. So that's an option. And then in addition, this assigned total column shows how users have been given access to the software. So the total number here probably makes sense when you look at it 55. There's 40 seats in this active subscription and 15 in this one, which is also active. So that's what adds up to 55, the total seats available, the total number of users you could provision to access the software. Sometimes we get questions about the assigned number here. People say, is that the number of times I've used the product key to activate the software? No, that's not the case. This column is all about user access, and that's how we're encouraging you to give users access to the subscription, because it's a lot more flexible and easy to manage in the long run. So let's look at that right now. So if you click on Manage Users, you can actually determine who's going to have access to the subscription. So this page opens up now, and it shows all the users that have been assigned to the subscription, provisioned to use the software. So the first thing you'll see is the email address that's associated with their Smart account that you enter here. And then you're obviously going to want to enter their school email, which is probably a Google or Microsoft-based email. What they can do is then go set up a Smart account, choose Google or Microsoft as their account provider, and that same email will be used for their Smart account. So over here you can see the identity provider that's attached to the teacher's email. If you don't see anything here, it just means you see these lines, it just means that the user hasn't set up their Smart account yet, but they could easily go do that with the email that you've chosen, and they would be provisioned to access the software. Each user also has a unique account ID, and this display name here just shows the name that they've chosen to display in Smart software if they went in and chose what will appear when they're teaching, for instance, in the software. This video is for those of you who use Google to manage teacher accounts and data. We've added a way for you to sync data between Google and the Smart Admin portal in order to auto-provision those teachers to access your school's subscription to Smart Learning Suite software. So let's take a look at how to do that now. So you can see that I have a subscription to Smart Learning Suite here, and I'm just going to click on Manage Users, and then I'll choose Add Users to bring up the option to sync data with Google. A couple of things to note before we begin. First, once you add users from Google, that data will be synced, so it means any users that you had in here previously will be erased, so just be aware of that. And then secondly, the way that you're going to be adding users is using Google Groups. So in order to be able to do this, you're just going to need to have a Google Group admin account with read permissions for groups. So if you have that, then this is the option for you. You can go ahead and click on Google. And once this loads, you'll see we have two different options here. So this first option, Google Classroom's default teacher group, just pulls in all of the teachers that you have using Google Classroom and adds them to a group. So if you type in your domain here, you'd be able to do that without having to set up a group on your own. But if you have actually set up your own custom group of people that you want to provision, then you could choose this second option and just enter the email address of the Google group that you've created. So let's say I have teachers at woodbineschool.org. So now I'm going to click Authorize via Google, and the Google sign-in dialog will appear. So now you'll be asked to sign in through Google, and you can do that using your Google Group admin credentials. So now you might have to wait up to 24 hours to see the results of the sync, which happens once a day. But once the sync is complete, all your teachers will show up here. They're now all provisioned to use smart software. And the options to add or remove users here in the portal are now disabled because you can manage everything on the Google end. So any changes you make to the Google groups will happen here in the portal, and those users will be provisioned to access smart software.